My name is Rebecca Hayes. I'm 43, and the day my father labeled me a glorified security guard in front of 300 wedding guests was the day I decided he would finally discover exactly who his daughter had become. I stood in the shadows at the back of the ballroom in my plain black dress, watching my golden boy brother Daniel beam beside his new wife, while Dad entertained the head table with endless tales of his successful son and of his other daughter who couldn't even finish college. Crystal chandeliers bathed the room in honeyed light, but I felt nothing but frost as I endured a performance I'd witnessed my entire life. 24 years in the DEA, and still, my father introduced me as Becca. She works for the government, he'd mutter, in the same dismissive tone reserved for meter maids. I hadn't even wanted to attend tonight. Just 3 days earlier I had been in Bogota, orchestrating the largest cartel takedown in DEA history. Operation Silent Thunder had consumed 18 months of my existence, and as lead agent, it had been my every waking thought. The timing could not have been worse. Daniel's wedding fell on the same weekend as our final raids. But my boss, Director Martinez, had pulled me aside after the last arrest. "Hayes," he'd said, "you've been living on caffeine and safe houses for years. Take the weekend. Go to the wedding. That's an order." And so here I was, watching my father hold court like the small-town insurance salesman he'd always been, spinning Daniel's promotion to regional manager as if he'd won the White House. "And my son Daniel," Dad's voice boomed across the polished floor. "He's making 6 figures now. Got the corner office, company car, everything I dreamed of." He paused, eyes locking on me. "Of course, my daughter Rebecca, well, she tried college, but it didn't pan out. She's got some government job now. Security work, I think. Nothing too major." The familiar fire lit in my chest, the same burn from when I was 12 and he told neighbors I was the artistic one, while Daniel was the smart one. The same ache from high school graduation when Daniel's football scholarship was praised, while my Georgetown acceptance was brushed aside. The same sting from every family gathering where my service in uniform was trivialized, my federal career dismissed as some desk gig. My phone vibrated. A message from Martinez. "Hayes, turn on Channel 7 News now." I slipped out into the hotel lobby, where a flat screen above the bar played the broadcast. The anchor's face was grave as images of shackled cartel members filled the screen. In what officials call the most successful anti-narcotics operation in decades, the DEA has toppled the infamous Santos cartel, seizing more than $2 billion in narcotics and assets. Leading the effort was Special Agent in Charge Rebecca Hayes, a 24-year veteran whose groundbreaking intelligence work dismantled what many believed untouchable. My official headshot filled the screen. A photo of a confident, sharp-eyed woman who looked nothing like the guest in a plain black dress hiding in a lobby. Agent Hayes, who commands South American operations, has been credited with reshaping how the government pursues transnational cartels. Sources suggest she may be considered for the administrator post when Director Martinez retires. I stared at the image, strangely disconnected. Special Agent in Charge Rebecca Hayes commanded task forces, shifted policy, and briefed Congress. But Becca, who worked for the government, was invisible. "Rebecca!" My Aunt Carol appeared, wineglass in hand. "Honey, what are you doing out here? You're missing all the fun. Just some air." She followed my gaze to the TV, where helicopters now hovered above jungle compounds. "Awful business. All this drug violence. Thank goodness you got a nice, safe desk job. Not like those poor agents who deal with that." I almost laughed. If only she knew that 3 nights ago, I'd been rappelling from a helicopter into a Colombian stronghold. "Come on," Carol said, hooking her arm through mine. "Your father's about to toast. You know how he gets after a few drinks. Probably going to tell the Little League story again." We slipped back into the ballroom just as Dad tapped his champagne flute. The crowd hushed. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began with practiced authority, "I want to talk about success, about what it really means to make something of yourself. Here it comes," I thought. "My son Daniel," Dad gestured grandly toward the head table. "He's everything a father dreams of. Star athlete, college graduate, climbed the ladder at work. He's got the house, the car, the wife. He's a true success story." Polite applause followed. Dad lifted his glass. "Now I love both my children," he added, and my stomach nodded. "But let's be honest. My daughter Rebecca, well, she wandered a different road. Dropped out of college, never settled down, no kids. Works for the government now, security detail, I think. Nothing wrong with that, but it's hardly what you picture for your little girl. Each word struck like a blow. Around me, guests shifted uneasily, some pitying, others avoiding my eyes. A few scrolled their phones, unknowingly holding the very article with my name splashed across it. The point is, Dad pressed on. Success is about dedication. About Dad! My voice cut sharper than I intended. The entire ballroom swiveled toward me. Dad frowned. Rebecca, honey, I'm making a toast. I need to correct the record, I said, striding toward the front. My voice was steady in the silence. You said I dropped out of college. Well, yes, you left Georgetown after freshman year. I left to attend the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. I was recruited by the DA. A ripple ran through the crowd. Dad's smile faltered. You said I was a security guard, I continued, advancing closer. I am actually special agent in charge for the Drug Enforcement Administration. 24 years with the agency. The murmurs swelled. Guests checked their phones, eyes darting between headlines and me. You said I never settled down. Last month I was awarded the DEA Administrator's Award for Excellence, the highest honor in the agency. This week, I commanded the operation that dismantled the Santos cartel, the largest bust in history. The ballroom froze. Dad's complexion drained pale. Someone whispered, "Holy shit, she's on the news right now." Screens lit up across the room. Guests gasped as they read aloud. Rebecca Hayes, special agent in charge, $2 billion in seizures, 37 arrests. Dad's champagne flute slipped from his hand, shattering on marble. You said success comes from choices, I said, voice calm but unyielding. And you're right. I chose to serve my country. I chose to infiltrate cartels, bring down killers, strip drugs from schools. I chose to put my life at risk instead of selling insurance policies behind a desk. Hundreds of faces stared back at me, stunned into silence. I never told you the truth because I hoped one day you'd be proud of me, not for a paycheck or for children, but for who I am. I thought you might see value in your daughter beyond titles. I was wrong. The silence stretched long and brittle. Dad looked hollow, like a man watching his certainties collapse. Daniel finally stammered. Becca, we had no idea. No, I said softly. You didn't. Because none of you ever asked. For 24 years, you chose to believe I was a failure. I turned back to Dad. You want to talk about success? Tomorrow I brief the Attorney General. Next month, I testify before Congress. The President knows my name. Gasps echoed. Dad looked gray. But real success, I added, my voice gentler. It's knowing I've made a difference. I've pulled drugs off the streets, saved lives, dismantled empires of violence. I serve something larger than myself. I scanned the crowd, people who'd known me forever but never truly seen me. Daniel, I said to my brother, congratulations. I hope your marriage is full of joy. Then I turned and walked toward the exit, heels striking against marble in the stillness. Behind me, Dad's broken voice called out, Rebecca, wait. I stopped but didn't face him. I'm sorry, he whispered, and for the first time in my life, he meant it. I know, I replied and left. In the parking lot, I glanced at my phone. 17 missed calls from reporters, 43 texts from colleagues, and one from Martinez. Hayes, the president wants you in the Oval Monday morning. Hope the wedding was worth it. For the first time all day, I smiled and drove home to the life I'd fought to build.